Okay, order of operations. We're on page 67 in your journal. And so this is a review from last year. Some teachers will teach this as PEMDAS, and some teachers, to help you remember it, will say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So the first letter of every word is, for please, it's parentheses. E is exponents. Okay, and then we have my dear Aunt Sally. So P stands for, these are actually brackets, but also parentheses, okay? So whatever inside the parentheses, you're going to do that first. Then you have exponents, okay? Anything to a certain power with a small number. Then we have multiplication or division. Okay, so this is actually a step together. So it depends on if you have both multiplication and division. If both of them are there, you have to work left to right. So if you're reading from left to right, you might encounter your multiplication first and have to do that, or depending on what type of problem it is, you might come to division first. And then addition and subtraction is your last step, and the same thing. You might encounter, when you're left with addition and subtraction, you have to work from left to right. So those are our last two operations. So here you have an expression, and we're going to solve it. It could also say simplify it in the directions. It just means to solve it and to make it simpler. Get one answer at the end. So 3 times 4 is 12. So we're doing what's in parentheses first. Okay, so we're doing what's in parentheses first, and then we're copying every single thing down exactly like it is to the next level. Then we're going to go to the next one on our list, exponents. So 5 to the second power is 5 times 5, which is 25. Then we're going to copy everything else down. So we have multiplication, addition, and subtraction. And so in our list, multiplication comes first. So we do multiplication, copy everything else down. So now we have addition and subtraction left. We're going to work from left to right. So we encounter addition first, so we're going to do that first. Minus 12. So 37 minus 12 is going to be 25. Now again, photo math, if you want to put that in photo math, you can check yourself on your homework. All right, then we have this. We have a parentheses here, but the only reason this parentheses is here is to separate those two signs and to make sure that you raise -2 to the third power. So right here, we're going to do parentheses first. We're going to say 5 plus 4 is 9. And then we're going to copy everything else down exactly the way that it is. And so now we have exponents. So -2 times -2 times -2. -2 times -2 is 4. A +4 times a -2 is -8. So that right there is -8. And I'm just going to keep it in parentheses so that I can separate that multiplication sign from my negative sign. And then we're going to copy everything else down. So now we have multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So since we have both multiplication and division up here, we're going to read from left to right. So multiplication comes first. So 6 times -8 is -48, divided by 3 plus 1 minus 9. Then my division comes next. And it looks like I'm working left to right, but I'm actually doing my multiplication and division first. Then I'll do my addition and subtraction. So -48 divided by 3 is -16 plus 1 minus 9. So let's work from left to right now. -16, if you move 1 to the right on the number line, that's -15. Minus 9. So remember, our rule is to add the opposite. But if you can't remember that, think on a number line. You're at -15 on a number line, and you're going to move 9 to the left. So you're going to end up at -24. Our rule for subtraction of integers, okay, subtraction of negative and positive numbers, is add the opposite, change and change. So now we have a -15 and a -9 that together make a -24. So let's look at this one. We have no parentheses, so our next step is exponents. 3 to the second power means 3 times 3, not 3 plus 3, is going to be 9. Copy everything else down. So we have addition, division, and addition. So our division comes first, and then copy everything else down. And now it's all addition, so I'm just going to work left to right. 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 3 is 10. All right, so we have two sets of parentheses here, and this parentheses is just separating those two signs. So I'm going to do what's inside these parentheses first. So 8 times 2 is 16. Copy everything else down. A negative times a negative is a positive. Copy everything else down. 28, if I think on a number line, 28 minus 30, I'm going to move 30 to the left. I'm going to start at 28 and move 30 to the left on the number line, and I would end up at negative 2. And if I'm adding 16 to negative 2, I would start at negative 2 on the number line and move 16 to the right, which would get me, I would end up at 14. All right, last one. We have negative 3 plus 1 is inside the parentheses. When you see something like this squished up to the parentheses, that means to multiply. Okay, they're getting you ready for algebra. So we're going to do what's inside the parentheses first. Negative 3, move 1 to the right on the number line, and we're at negative 2. Copy everything else down. Now we have exponents, so we're just looking at this right here. Negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, as we did on this one, is negative 8. So negative 8 times negative 5 minus 3. So negative times a negative is a positive, and 40 minus 3 is 37.